Good to have you with us on a Monday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for starting your week with us. We're going to begin this morning in Chicago as the Democratic National Convention is set to get underway today. The four-day convention will take place in and around the United Center and will culminate on Thursday when Vice President Harris formally accepts the Democratic nomination for president.
Ms. Harris arrived in Chicago last night, joined by her husband, Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff. She spent the day yesterday campaigning in battleground Pennsylvania with her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
This campaign is about a recognition that, frankly, over the last several years, there's been this kind of perversion that has taken place, I think, which is to suggest that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, when what we know is the real and true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up.
The convention will be highlighted with remarks tonight by President Biden, who dropped out of the race last month and quickly threw his support behind Vice President Harris. In case you're counting, Election Day now 78 days away. We have team coverage ahead this morning, including the latest on the Trump campaign. We'll also have more on new polling numbers that just came out ahead of the start of the convention.
Let's begin this hour with NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba. She is at the DNC in Chicago. Monica, good morning. So the Democratic National Committee has released its party platform ahead of the convention. What can we expect? What are some of these themes we're going to see over the next 4 days?
Hey there, Savannah and Joe. Well, it's pretty remarkable, actually, because the platform that was voted on and adopted was one that reflected Joe Biden still being at the top of the ticket. So if you look through this lengthy document, they have a bunch of their policy priorities when it comes to everything from economic plans to climate change, infrastructure, you name it, reproductive rights. But it says in there repeatedly in a Biden second term. So obviously that's something that symbolically will be updated this week to reflect what Vice President Harris will try to propose and roll out for her own campaign. And we saw a preview of that last week, but she's still going to be having to do that on some key issues in the coming days and weeks where she may differentiate a little bit from President Biden.
Monica, the DNC actually projected anti-Trump campaign slogans onto Trump Tower last night. Tell us more about the message they're trying to send there.
Yeah, and this is really an attempt to have a kind of viral moment. As you see there, they projected Project 2025 HQ headquarters on that famous Trump building in Chicago. And this is really an attempt to highlight what they view as this dangerous document and blueprint for a potential second term for Donald Trump in the White House. Now, over the last couple of weeks and months, there have been some in the Republican nominee's orbit trying to distance themselves from it. And so the Democrats are really just trying to argue we're not going to let that happen. Messaging wise, we want to remind people of what's in there. And then they also projected Harris walls onto the building as well, guys.
Monica, as I mentioned, President Biden is going to be the one capping off this first day at the DNC. Tell us the significance of him being the keynote speaker on the first day. What should we know about the party's decision for him to lead it off and what we might hear from him?
Well, just a month ago, imagine this entire convention hall, this stage behind me, was supposed to be meant for him as a celebration of his 50 years of public service and his final campaign. It's all going to be looking very different tonight when he effectively gives one in a series of farewell speeches, talking about his record, but also detailing why he thinks Vice President Harris now is best positioned to take on the party and to be obviously the standard bearer now facing Donald Trump in November. So there will be this sort of passing of the torch moment, which we know that obviously he has backed his vice president, but they're going to share that together in a moment that I think will be very meaningful to both of them this evening, and where Democrats symbolically are saying, okay, thank you, President Biden, for your leadership, but he and the First Lady will be heading out to California after they speak tonight, and then really the spotlight will be on VP Harris for the rest of the week.
And Monica, protests are expected to take place throughout the week in Chicago. We already saw some over the weekend. How's the city prepared for this? Also, how's the DNC preparing for this?
Well, city officials and law enforcement have been bracing for this for a long time. So they are anticipating somewhere in the ballpark of as many as 20,000 protesters could be coming this week to protest, to be here and to make their points really clearly known. So there's a designated area where they are able to express that. And there were already a couple of skirmishes last night. And this is something really where the city of Chicago says, look, we have experience with this. If you think back to the 1968 protests and that convention, convention, and they have said they have no tolerance for anything to escalate or to become violent, and that they're ready for that. They've done special training for their officers, and so that's something that they're clearly very much on top of, but that I think we will expect to see that split screen throughout the week. Joe and Savannah.
We will be talking all week. Thank you very much.
Let's bring in NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray for more on the state of the race right now. Mark, good morning. Some new polling out over the weekend continues to show just how quickly Vice President Harris has cut into former President Trump's lead, maybe even overtaken him in some places. Let's start nationally. Where do things stand nationwide right now?
Yeah, Joe, in the polling, Democrats do have a pep in their step. And nationally, there was a Washington Post ABC poll showing Harris ahead by 4 points among registered voters. It's important to note that that's within the margin of error, but this is a change from back in July when President Biden was still in this contest, and that poll ended up showing a tied race. Also, there was a CBS poll that came out that showed that Harris had a 3-point lead among likely voters over Trump, and that also is a change from a month ago. And so Democrats do come into this convention in a much stronger place than they were a month or two ago, but it still is close, Joe.
Mark, of course, it'll take a while before we see polling numbers that we're able to get following the convention. But how much of a boost does a campaign typically see after a convention? Is it significant? Is it something sustainable?
Savannah, in the 20 years I've been doing this, the party having a convention does get a bump. You have all the attention, you have all the focus, you're attacking the opposition party, and it normally translates into better numbers. There is a debate, however, whether that we're going to see even more of a bounce for Democrats after this convention, or if Democrats already ended up getting their bounce by the change in the ticket that Monica was just talking about, that has really buoyed Democrats, given them a whole lot more enthusiasm. And we will, you can have me back a week or two later to break down those polls, but it is an open question whether we'll see that same kind of convention bounce after this week.
And we've learned that 2 weeks can change all sorts of things in this race, Mark. So as we learned in 2000 and 2016, Democrats can win the popular vote but lose the Electoral College. That's what matters. So what are we learning about the race, where it stands in those key battleground states right now?
Yeah, in the battlegrounds, Democrats also have a pep in their step. There were some New York Times, Siena College polls showing Harris ahead slightly in the battleground states of North Carolina as well as in Arizona, but trailing narrowly in Nevada and Georgia. And Joe, it's important to note that these results are all within the margin of error, but just like the national polls show a changed race where it was usually Joe Biden trailing slightly in those same battleground states. And in fact, in those Sunbelt states, sometimes even beyond the margin of error. And so I do think we have the 2 C's going on in the polling heading into this convention. These races are close and competitive, but they are also a changed race.
All right, Mark, thank you so much. Now, before President Biden dropped out of the race, polls showed he was trailing former President Trump on almost every key issue, including the economy. So what are fellow Democrats saying about how Vice President Harris should position herself this week?
Well, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer gave her thoughts to Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker on Sunday's show.
Hello there, Joe and Savannah. This week on Meet the Press, I spoke with Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan ahead of the Democratic National Convention about whether Joe Biden's low poll numbers will hurt Vice President Harris's campaign. As I just laid out, Vice President Harris has momentum right now. The question is, can she keep it? Given that President Biden had historically low approval ratings, given that he was running behind Mr. Trump in a number of different issues, almost every issue, in fact, do you believe that Vice President Harris should be doing more to distance herself from President Biden?
I think President Biden is going to go down as one of the greatest presidents we've had in a long time in this country. And Kamala Harris has been a big part of this administration. They've been partners. They've delivered for the American people. So think we've got to tell that story. I also am excited about this new chapter in American politics. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, I think, are a wonderful complement to one another. They're real people who've lived middle-class lives. They know what people in this country are going through, and they know how to address the problems, whether it's affordable housing or bringing down the cost of groceries or helping you if you're raising kids in your household or just simply fighting for fundamental rights. So there's a lot of energy. It's exciting. But I'm from Michigan, so I can tell you, this is going to be a close race all the way through.
You can see my full interview and a lot more at meetthepress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press right here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
All right, Kristen, thank you so much. And we will have much more from the Democratic National Convention throughout the day here on NBC News Now. And then later on, we've got extensive live coverage getting underway at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We will also bring you President Biden's remarks live on NBC News Now and NBC. That is set to get underway at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific time. Be sure to tune in. Let's turn now to the Trump campaign. Overnight, the former president's schedule for the week was released, and it is packed.
The Republican frontrunner and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, have stops planned across the country. They're expected to focus on a different policy topic in each city. For more, let's bring in NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard, who joins us here on set. It looks like among the states they're visiting, you got Arizona and North Carolina. Those have been battlegrounds the last few elections. Polls show those races changing pretty significantly in just the last few weeks. What can we expect there?
Right. And let's be clear. Donald Trump jumped into this presidential race back in November of 2022. This is going to be by far his busiest week on the campaign trail yet. He's in Pennsylvania today, Michigan tomorrow, and then making those stops in North Carolina and Arizona. And for Donald Trump, this comes at a point in time where, look, I was at another rally of his on Saturday in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And unlike in 2016 and 2020, when he was facing Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, they were both political known commodities, right? People knew historically where their policy positions were, their biographies. That's different this time around with Kamala Harris. And not only that, but she just became the party's nominee, and we're 2.5 months from the general election. And so for Donald Trump, what we should expect from him to do this week is go around the country and try to identify and build his own biography for Kamala Harris, the way that he thinks that voters around the country should view her politically. And right now, that is by trying to frame her as this radical liberal, even a communist, all, claims which I am sure the Democratic ticket would take strong offense to.
On Wednesday in North Carolina, we're actually going to see both Trump and Vance together. Do we know what that event will highlight?
Yeah, this is going to have both of them here together. And when we're looking at the issue of immigration, Republicans continue to see this as really an opening for them. At the same time, 2 years ago, there was a record number of migrants that were coming across the border. But we can see over the last few years that number consistently come down. And actually this summer, it's been the lowest number of border encounters by the Border Patrol dating back to when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came into office here. And so for Donald Trump and the Republicans right now, they're going to be looking at immigration. They're going to be looking at the economy, the high price of food. This is for them really trying to provide contrast to what is happening at the Democratic convention. Well, the Democrats, they try to look forward and highlight what they say are achievements. It's going to be up to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. They are going to go and try to provide some counter-programming and defend themselves against some of the words coming from those stages.
Typically, that counter-programming happens anywhere but where the DNC is taking place. Right. But are they planning anything, the Trump campaign, in Chicago this week?
They do. They actually have some allies that are on the ground there in Chicago. And, well, they are going to be way outnumbered by the Democrats. They're going to be having campaign advisors, Senator Ron Johnson, Congressman Ronnie Jackson, Byron Donalds. They're going to be holding press conferences and, again, trying to respond in real time to the events that are unfolding and the speeches that are unfolding in prime time. The Republicans had their convention 1 month ago, and there was some fodder over, right, what is the timing of a convention? Well, this is a pretty ideal time if you're the Democrats right now.
Of course, when they had their convention as well, too, it was a different opponent that they were facing in that moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot has changed.
So much has changed. It feels like a lifetime ago. Vaughn, thank you very much.
Gaza health officials say at least 40 people are dead and more than 100 injured in Israel's military offensive in central Gaza in the last 24 hours. The strikes came as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in the Middle East to try and finalize a ceasefire deal. NBC News international correspondent Kelly Kobier is following the latest developments for us. Kelly, good morning. So as of last night, the Israeli military had not commented on these latest airstrikes. What do we know about it and the intended target?
Well, there were a number of strikes over the past 24 hours and really over the weekend, Joe. The Israeli strike one, anyway, hit a home in a town in central Gaza. Gaza officials say a woman and her 6 children were killed in that strike. Locals confirmed that. Another strike in the north hit 2 apartments. In all, as you mentioned, 40 people killed over the weekend in Gaza. No immediate comment from the IDF on specific strikes or civilian casualties. The Israeli military did say it struck and eliminated 2 Hamas terrorists in a hideout in central Gaza, a Hamas command and control center, and the home of a Hamas operative. The IDF saying Hamas fired projectiles toward southern Israel Sunday from rocket launchers embedded near 2 schools, a field hospital, and a cemetery in the southern Gaza Strip. The IDF says they only target militants, and they regularly blame these civilian deaths on Hamas, saying the militant group hides fighters and weapons among the civilian population. They say they struck 45 targets across the Gaza Strip Sunday. So a very violent day in this operation. Joe.
Kelly, Secretary Blinken met with Israeli President Herzog, Prime Minister Netanyahu today before he heads to Egypt tomorrow to meet with mediators. Now, the U.S. is proposing an updated 3-phase ceasefire deal, which officials say they hope to have finalized by next week. Both Israel and Hamas officials are skeptical of that timeline. So just walk us through this latest proposal and what both sides are saying about it.
Yeah, a lot of skepticism surrounding this. That 3-phase process would begin with Hamas releasing all hostages it still holds. Israel believes that number is around 110. They believe that about 2/3 of those hostages may still be alive. In exchange, Israel would withdraw its forces from Gaza and release Palestinian prisoners. Now, here's the problem. The Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is still blaming Hamas for blocking a deal. Senior Hamas officials are blaming Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel for adding new conditions. Secretary of Blinken saying today this deal is probably the best, maybe the last opportunity to get the hostages home. But just to give you an example of one of the stumbling blocks or potential stumbling blocks, Israel wants to control the Gaza-Egypt border. They want to put in place what would amount to a checkpoint as well in central Gaza, where Israeli military would check Gazans returning home. Israel says both of those steps are necessary to stop weapons and militants from moving through Gaza. But Hamas has said absolutely not to both of those proposals. So we'll have to see how these negotiations progress and see if either side is willing to budge. Joe?
We're also keeping an eye on Israel's northern border in Lebanon. That's where at least 3 UN peacekeepers were injured in an explosion this weekend. What are we learning about that?
Yeah, we know that Israel and Hezbollah have been trading fire in that area for months now. The UN said that these peacekeepers sustained light injuries after an explosion near what they say was a clearly marked UN peacekeeper vehicle close to the border. They had been on patrol in a southern Lebanon village. They all returned safely to their base. The UN says that they're looking into the incident. They did not blame one side or the other. The Israeli military also said they're looking into it. So stay tuned for more information on that one, Joe.
All right. Kelly, thank you so much.
Well, back home, parts of the Northeast are underwater this morning after powerful storms brought historic rainfall to the region. Areas of Connecticut are reeling from what's being described as a 1-in-1,000-year flood. Get this, it dropped over 10 inches of rain in just 12 hours. The fast-rising water submerged cars, washed out roads, and even stranded people. In some spots, the water rose so fast that rescue crews couldn't safely move in and help those in need.
And the threat for showers and storms continues in the east this morning.
This morning here in studio with us, we have Michelle Grossman with the latest. Hi, Michelle. What can people expect today?
Hi there, guys. Great to see you. Well, we're going to see more of the same. That heaviest rain that fell yesterday into this morning has moved off, but we still have that cold front that's going to linger right near the coast, tapping into some tropical moisture. So we do have the threat for still some downpours. We're looking pretty good at this hour. We do have some heavy downpours where you see those darker colors along the Great Lakes here, portions of Massachusetts too. We're seeing those reds, the oranges, the yellows. The heaviest hit was Connecticut, still seeing a few showers there, but see where that pops up right in that last frame. So we're not out of the woods, and we're going to be dealing with this as we go throughout today. Much better in parts tomorrow, though. Northern New England could be dealing with some heavier rain tomorrow. So where you see those brighter colors, that's where we're seeing the heaviest rain. We still do have the threat for flash flooding as we go throughout the day. This is why we we have that slow-moving cold front. This is actually the cold front that kept Ernesto away from the East Coast. So that was a good thing, but it's tapping into tropical moisture now, and that's where we're seeing those heavy downpours. Localized flash flooding is likely today. By tomorrow, much better in many spots, but still seeing showers lingering across northern New England. Not the heaviest stuff that we saw last night into today, even by this afternoon, seeing some heavier storms as well. But we're going to still see some showers as this system slowly moves off the coast. As a result, we have some really wet grounds. You saw all those images, evacuations, cars flooded, houses flooded. So any additional rainfall on saturated soil will bring us a chance for flash flooding. This is what we're expecting as we go throughout Tuesday here, mainly 1 to 2 inches, a half inch in some spots. But again, where you see those dark colors, northern New England, as I just mentioned, we'll see the heaviest amounts of rain throughout portions of New Hampshire, also Vermont. Then by this afternoon, we're expecting the chance for some strong to severe storms. That's with the daytime heating. Once that sun does come out and start to heat things up, give power to some of these storms. Boston, New York City, D.C., Norfolk, Cape Hatteras, all these main cities along the East Coast looking at the chance for some strong storms. Could see winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour, some hail. The tornado risk is low, but still not zero. That's one of the big stories on this Monday. The second one, record highs in the south. We are really steamy there. Temperatures into the triple digits. You factor in the humidity, it will feel like 110 to 115 in spots. And also looking at the chance for strong storms throughout parts of the Rockies, Colorado, especially seeing the chance for storms and some monsoonal flooding throughout portions of the Southwest. Let's talk about that heat. It is dangerous. 31 million people impacted by heat alerts. We have heat advisories. That's in the orange. Heat warnings in that hot pink. Dallas, Phoenix, we're going to see those temperatures soaring. And we've been hot for a long time. So this is where it gets really tough. Temperatures, daytime temperatures, air temperatures into the triple digits, 100 in Sonora. But you factor in the humidity in a lot of spots, we're going to feel a lot warmer than the actual air temperatures. New Orleans feeling like 111, Houston feeling like 111. Look at the southeast, too. Temperatures feeling like over 100 in many spots. 106 is what it will feel like in Miami. That is today. Tomorrow, same story. We have high pressure in control that's pumping in this hot air. So temperatures once again into the triple digits. A lot of kids started school, too. So hopefully air conditioning because it is hot.
It has been nonstop for them, too. Just
all
days and
summer
days
long.
and days.
Some of those feels like temperatures. Oh,
terrible.
My goodness. Ugh. All right. Thanks, Michelle.
Sure.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.